Let's podcast. It's the OG at the park. I'm at the Rosenblatt Stadium, whatever they call it now, whatever the corporate sponsor is in Omaha. Omaha! Had to do it once. And Hayes Permar is in Jones County. He looks like he's in a park too. So, OG at the park, I think it fits.
Saturday in the park. It's not quite the 4th of July. No, yes, we're keeping it on the road. I'm, in Eastern North Carolina between the beach. You're on the game in Omaha. Wait, I forget. Is the park you're in now the one that was supposed to be they never hit home runs, or is that the old park?
No, it's this one. This is the one
Like,
where Trey Turner hit a ball, but that was also the same year they changed to the BB core bats. I think the bats have come a little bit, and the ball
okay.
obviously is a little bit more lively. I'll tell you though, Hayes, the wind out here is no joke. Driving in this morning to the stadium, I'm like looking outside. It's some apocalyptic shit out there. I hope the Tar Heels are able to play 2 o'clock your time, 1 o'clock local here in the elimination game against Florida State. I hope that thing is able to get played because otherwise they're on some like AAU softball tournament weather delay. Everything's going to get rearranged. So hopefully the Tar Heels will be able to play against Florida State a little bit later today. By the time you listen to this, we're recording in the morning today. We're back on our normal OG schedule. This will post at 2 o'clock on YouTube. Appreciate everyone who checked this out yesterday in a little bit of a scramble mode. I'm in less of a scramble mode today. Hayes equipment is all set up. We have the nice Ethernet here. We have all the good things, the camera, these slightly annoying fans behind me because people in the media don't know how to wear deodorant and take care of themselves, even over here on the TV side where they tend to be a little bit more cleanly and kept. I know you
Sure.
remember this from your days of being in press rooms.
The
So it's
unwashed
also
masses of the is podcast row even like seedier and dirtier than radio row?
in in
It's just
theory it would be, but I kind of made my own spot over here in the TV room because of the Ethernet connection. OVS would be screaming at those fans right now. At minimum, he would have tried to have pulled them out of the wall.
when you get down to podcast row, normally that's when a guy has like the lapel mic that he's talking into, and then also leaning it across to you. Like that's when things get bad. So I'm glad to know that you're rolling high class in there with the TV guys.
There was a guy yesterday. And no, this is the real tell for podcast people. They have their own merch. It's like the first thing podcast people do. They create their own logo and they
Got
create
to.
their own merch. There was a guy waiting for Elliot yesterday. He's like, I worked a game in 2000, whatever. And I was like, and he was like showing him his logo. And I'm like, buddy, the season just ended. I don't think he really cares about
Uh,
your podcast logo. Speaking of,
podcast podcast doesn't care about his season just ended. He's got
yeah,
episodes to produce. You know the
you,
grind. Come on, nah.
yeah, you gotta you
Um,
gotta you gotta pump it out the
all
content.
right. Nobody wants to hear me. People want you to talk about the end of NC State baseball season and the culmination of the Pack athletics year this has been. Which one do you want to go on first? So the positive, what a year it's been, or the negative of
I,
it? It kind of ended.
I think they all fold in together, but we did something yesterday that I kind of liked, and I feel like we should probably incorporate in the show on the regular. So I appreciate you being a guinea pig here with me, Hayes. First of all, thank you to Copiers Plus. OG is not possible without our friends at Copiers Plus. Manage all of your print and office data. Go to copiers-plus.com. The Kyocera, always hard at work for us. They could do the same for you. I've had other OG corporate champions say to me, "Hey, what's the name of the place that you guys go to for the copiers?" I hook them up with Copiers Plus. So we're doing good. We're doing good work here out in Omaha. I will just say that to you. But no, the one thing we did yesterday, we had an early ad because I said, man, I could really use a nature's relief. Well, today I could really use my Roback shirt. So you can't quite make it out, but this is
I see it.
my pig pickin' Roback shirt, which has the pigs on it for the state of North Carolina. It has the North Carolina state flag on the back, which you would like, being Mr. North Carolina the way that you are. So go to roback.com, RHOBACK, roback.com. That's promo code OG20. Save 20% on your first order. Again, yesterday I made a mistake not wearing the world's greatest golf shirt. I will not make that mistake again as long as I'm at the stadium, because these things are, not only do they fit the best, let's face it, I'm a little bit fatter than I should be, but they also keep that moisture in the best possible way. So you look good, feel good, all those good things. Go to rollback.com. All right, now.
Roll back, roll back, roll back.
I definitely count on you and Chip Patterson for
part.
such things. Yes. So you want to start with a negative or positive? I think it's all the same, Hayes, to be perfectly honest with you. And that's what I had sent you. I feel like the Year of the Wolf 2024, this getting to the Men's College World Series was part of that. The third trip for Elliott Avent. Yes, they came up short yesterday against Florida. Effectively, Florida's best hitter hit a home run. It happened to be a 3-run shot. It happened to be the difference in the game. NC State loses by a run. Again, AMAC comes through with another home run for them. Couldn't have asked for much more than him. Logan Whitaker out of the bullpen, I thought, was outstanding. A sixth-year guy. And he was talking after the game just about his journey and how great it was for the program to get back here. And I think ultimately that's what I'll take away from this season from this team. I thought Elliott Avent did some of his best coaching this year. Not necessarily a deep team, not a ton of pitching. Obviously, Whitaker and Sam Heifel stepped up down the stretch, really give you those two guys. But, they have a really young bullpen, Jacob Duden and Derek Smith. These are guys you hope are back next year. And with the portal and everything else, you never know. But this is a team that will have to be retooled because all of their hitters are older. And that's kind of how college baseball works. But I thought they maxed out. This was a team that had an unbelievable record against top 10 teams, did a great job in the second half of the season in ACC play. But, I watched a couple of games against ECU. I watched them lose to Campbell. There were some early games this year. I'm like, Elliott, this could be a struggle. And what his teams always do is they get better as the year goes on. So super impressive work by Elliott, Chris Hart, and the whole staff. And the team itself, you have those older guys, Heifel and Whitaker, I thought really stepped up for them. And, of course, AMAC and Eli Serrano and Jacob Cozart, you could just really go down the list. So I thought this team really maxed out, and Elliott got the most out of them.
Yeah, okay, that's all good. And when the great staff at NC State Athletics makes their end-of-the-year video for baseball, and they want to take clips from like TV things, and like they'll be able to take that clip and put that in there, and that's all fine and good. I want to talk about how they lost by 1 run and they got screwed out of a run in the first inning with that Lodge catcher's ball. What are we doing, Giglio? Come on. This is still Pack Athletics. I'm not bringing up I'm not saying the bad luck stuff, but like, come on. They got screwed out of a run and they lost by 1 run. We have to at least mention this, right?
Yeah, I thought they had chances to win the baseball game. I did not take anything away from either of those games. Like Kentucky, again, the 1 home run they got was by a guy who hadn't hit one since April, and that was fluky. And their best player hits the home run that puts them into extras and they win the game. You just tip your hat to that. Florida, again, yesterday, their best player hit a 3-run home run. And, then they walk them the rest of the way, by the way.
Yes, which is smart. Including one of the time with the guy on base. Yes, we absolutely did. Like, don't be the idiot who's like, why did you pitch to that guy who kept burning you? Well, 2 cool things. One, I never got a full read on what went wrong with his name escapes me. He hit the 3-run blast, but he was the starting pitcher.
Yeah. And
he only pitched 1 inning. And I never got an explanation for why he couldn't pitch, but he was still hitting. But obviously that was kind of a cool story for him to like. It felt, they were talking about him and showing him of like something's going on that he's not pitching anymore. But obviously he was still had a major impact on the game. Also, side note, do you know who I was listening on the radio broadcast at this point, but I heard a photographer was struck by a baseball on the line drive. Did you catch this at all?
Mm-mm.
Overall, the person was okay, but I do know a couple of photographers who were there for NC State, so I just want to make sure it was nobody we knew didn't know. But no. In addition to the 1 run and you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. With the I didn't know if you saw like the TV replay, but it seemed to confirm like Avent was right that the ball technically got lodged for a second in a way that should have been a dead ball. Everybody advanced a base. They would have scored a run. And then who knows? Maybe they break it open in that first inning and get up to 3 or 4 or 5 runs on the board instead of just the one they got away with. I don't know. It obviously wasn't the end of the game because of the way the game played out. The Pack, rallied back multiple times. But when you get to the end of a 1-run game and you saw a very potential missed call that can't be reviewed, which still always seems dumb to me, of why are we filming things that we can't review?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it is at least the conversation for a local podcast, but apparently you don't feel like you want to have that.
No, I would just say to you, the worst place for me to be is at the game. And people would always send me this stuff when I was covering stuff, and I'd be like, it would frustrate me to the point where I'm like, you understand, I don't have access to a replay. So if I'm on press row, especially at Carter Finley Stadium, I'm like, the last place I need to be for me to have a meaningful conversation with you about a replay is in this press box. So I actually wasn't even in the press box yesterday. I was down here, and then I was up on the concourse for about 4 or 5 innings. Then I came back down here to watch the end on the monitors here, which are the in-house. It's the ESPN feed,
sure,
without the audio. So to be perfectly honest with you, I know that there was some frustration over what had happened in the first inning, but to be perfectly honest with you,
it just I don't know. It felt like
they had over my head a little bit.
Yeah. They had the bases loaded. I was listening at that point on the radio, but you know how quickly you try and discern who are the radio announcers pulling for? Where did they go to school? What conference did they back? I'm all the clues, and I'm like, I think these guys are Florida fans, and they were like, well, it's not reviewable, but it really looks like maybe LA David had a point there. It did look like it was lodged. And if they were saying it, I'm willing to think that maybe that's the right call. But I won't dwell on it.
No, I want to talk about the year that NC State's had, because there are some NC State fans who had been asking me, is this the best year ever for NC State? You got some older people. Now, I think we kind of have to figure out what the requirements are here, right?
Yes.
You have, obviously, 83 is magical. I mean, even if it's just men's basketball, it's magical, right? And it's hard to overcome one particular instance like that, right?
Well, but I'll also say the one thing about the 83 was magical, but it also wasn't like it was ending some crazy drought or oh my gosh, NC, I'm not trying to take anything away from it, but it wasn't the first championship ever. It didn't quite have even that added element of at that point, you win in 83, you're thinking, no, we're a program that about every decade should put ourselves in a position to win a title, right? So anyway, but yes, 83 is magical.
So 73, 74, you have football, baseball, and men's basketball won the ACC. But you go back to that year, there's only 7 teams in the ACC. Now, the men's basketball team is arguably the greatest team in the history of the ACC. So that also sort of has to carry some weight. But winning the football title, I mean, Lou Holtz was the coach, but I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. This is 2 years before I'm born. I don't think college football at that time was certainly looked at the way that it is now. I don't even think it was looked at the way that it was in the 80s. I think it was just kind of looked at well, these guys aren't the NFL. And even then, you have to put yourself in the mindset, the NFL wasn't what the NFL is now. Football itself was not in the conscious of American, even sporting society, but certainly not the way that it is now.
In the 70s, it was a lot closer to them being student athletes, where it's okay, let's see if we can find 50 guys at our university that can play football, that played high school football. And I mean, that's making it more simple. But in terms of drawing what it is now, where it's basically a professional sport where you go recruit and, almost draft and sign contracts, it's a lot more of, and at schools like Virginia in the 70s, it truly was.
Garbage. Yeah.
Hey, did you play high school football, and do you go to Virginia now? Come on out. We might could use you, right? Yes. And those are some of the teams that they're playing.
So you kind of have to look at through a different lens, right? Even for football, you're talking about the cusp of integration too in the ACC. So
yes,
I mean, let's try to put that in perspective, right?
Yes.
So I think in terms of NC State, to your point, you have this long drought. You have this law of the wolf, where you're man, there's nothing that can go right for us. If it can go wrong, it will. And having the cross country title, that's a three-peat. It's got to count for something. Then you look at women's basketball, which has been knocking on the door for as long as they have, for them to break through, make the Final Four under Westmore. That was a big deal, particularly while women's basketball is having a moment, right? Like you go back to '98, the last time NC State women made the Final Four. You're like, yeah, was that the year UConn won, or was that the year Tennessee won? Right? Like and by the way, they beat UConn to get there, so it was a Tennessee year.
Yep.
But so back then, again, women's basketball, even in the '90s, was really kind of is it UConn or Tennessee? Oh, okay, you're neither, right? And we saw that at Duke forever. They tried to break through and they couldn't. So to have that, then for Kevin Keats and the men's basketball program to win the ACC tournament in the way that they did, beating Duke, beating Carolina, beating Virginia, who has been consistently the best team in the last decade, and being one that they couldn't get over on, that was huge. Then to get to the Final Four, obviously that becomes gravy. So now you add all of that up. Now the baseball team gets back to Omaha. It's the third time for Elliott. Yes, they go 0 for 2 in barbecue, but I don't know. Getting here to me seemed like a real accomplishment for Elliott and the program. So now cumulatively, I think now you add in all of the ways that you won and who you beat to get here, and it's a lot harder now in baseball just to get to the College World Series. It's a lot harder in the Final Four just to get either on the women's or men's side to the Final Four. And this is my next question for you. And so I think you can say that this is NC State's best year. Let's start using a term that I'm going to like, which is my lifetime. Okay. And you're pretty close to me, but not that close. I'm 49. So I was born in 75. So
I'm 45. So
45.
Yes, we are now kind of cutting out some years of people who are listening to this show who were
they're younger. They're usually younger.
They're usually younger, but I'm saying even if you're 60 and you're listening to the show, we're counting most of the years of your life, right? We're not 60, but we're giving you many years still of your life. Sorry, we're going to exclude a couple teams from this, but yes, in your lifetime.
So I think this whole in your lifetime concept, and we'll get to this with the Celtics, but I don't know. It just feels to me like, do we count the fall first though? Do you go school year on this, or do you go calendar year? Because Louisville, well, let's give Carolina's best year. I'm going to go 09.
The answer, Joe, is you go whichever year works better for whatever case you're making.
Okay. I'm going to go 09, though, because 09, I believe it. I think most people would agree is Roy Williams' best team. They absolutely steamrolled to the title.
Thrashed everyone.
I mean, it was like one of those dominant years where you're like, okay, this is an all-time team. So you have that.
And it felt like a culmination of obviously not an all-time great NBA basketball player, but like for Carolina fans, it was going to be like, oh man, this is really going to be a disappointment if Tyler Hansborough, after all the accolades in 4 years, doesn't. So it felt like this storming through the tournament was also like, though, I knew it was good. I knew it was going to happen, whatever,
So you have that, which I think is a pretty big, like kind of like 83 or 74 for State, like 09 for Carolina, 82, 09 for Carolina, or 2 years where you're like, okay. Now this is kind of where we get into where do you want to count it though, because 81, 79, no, 80 is Carolina's last college ACC football title, so they don't even get that in 82. It just all depends on where you want to go on this one, like because Florida has the all-timer. They won in the fall. They won in 06. They won the college football championship. Then in 07, they won the men's basketball. Like that's the all-time year, right? We've seen Louisville. They did same thing: College World Series, men's Final Four, women's Final Four, and their football team in the fall went to the Sugar Bowl and won the Sugar Bowl. So like that's a pretty good standard there for that 12-13 Louisville.
What did UNC baseball do?
09 UNC baseball also made the College World Series. They went 1-2.
Well, hold on.
Eliminated by Arizona State.
UNC baseball in 1997 didn't do a whole lot. I was trying to think. I remember
football, basketball for Carolina.
Like UNC's best. UNC's best
win football.
It feels like for UNC to have your best year ever, it has to include a basketball national championship.
Yeah, I would think.
Yes, but I mean, having Vince and Antoine thrash everyone and fall short of Final Four still feels like a really fun year for like UNC, right?
So you would say 96 Now, baseball wasn't there yet, but I'm with you.
Nah,
Probably max top 10 team and a Final Four men's basketball team. That's
that
pretty
was
strong.
pretty good. I mean, that game day Florida State, even though they lost 23, it just felt like big year. I assume we can pluck a women's soccer or a field hockey or some other title in there and probably throw it in one of
Yeah,
those years too.
no doubt.
The the cool thing for me about NC State, and with all due respect to Dave Doeren, and I love everything he's done. I think he's a perfect fit for the football program that NC State is, although I'll defer to you on that. But to me, the thing that almost like proved once again that NC State is still a basketball school is that many of these things have been in place in the last somewhere between 2 and 5 years of like really good non-revenue cross country championships, like you said, swimming championships, wrestling success in the
Yeah.
ACC and other. Baseball has made College World Series. Football has been. Dave Doeren to me feels almost like what we're getting out of Rod Brindamore. There's in no world is Dave Doeren ever going to reel off 3 ACC titles in 4 years, or even like two. I don't know what to call the new playoff. He could make the playoff a couple years in a row, but he's not going to make 2 championship games in 3 years or whatever. But he's given you the opportunity to be in the mix every year, and then when the years work out where you've got the talent, you could, if you break and you beat Clemson, or you break it, whatever. Like I feel like Doran's putting you in the position for what you are and what you can be in football. If you want to be unrealistic and say we should be competing for AC titles every year, like fine, whatever.
Right.
Doran's doing what you should do for NC State football. The non-revenue coaches have been doing what they can do, either leveling up not great programs or maxing out at really good non-rev programs. But it took basketball to truly be like, okay, I can be happy as an NC State fan. Like, NC State fans are some of the best at supporting all those other teams, at supporting baseball at a level that's hardcore, supporting wrestling and gymnastics, right? But they almost, I feel like they want to almost tell themselves, like, yes, because we can be so, fulfilled by these other teams, we don't have to have basketball. But like when you saw it all come pouring out, what ACC championship meant, what a Final Four, what beating UNC, beating Duke, it's like, no, basketball, it does matter just a little bit more. And so that's why I think that made this year possible.
Moose, your friend, the Weather Moose, my friend, the Weather Moose, I think he tweeted this right after Elliott made College World Series. Dave Doeren, the pressure's on now. Like he's sweating now. Do you see it that way, or do you see it like how you just said? Like Dave's true beauty is in his consistency, not necessarily, oh, we're gonna pop, in year X or year Y. It's more of like, well, we're not gonna have another one of those 3 and 9 years. It's more now like, hey, we're in this thing, we're in a conversation. They're typically in the college football playoff rankings. They're in the mix. They haven't had the breakthrough 10-win season, which is disappointing, obviously, and they haven't. They never won a division title, never get the chance to win a division title. But I do think that his beauty is in. I guess what I'm saying is I've made peace with what Dave is and what the program is. So I'm not going into this year like, oh my God, they better do what everyone else did, and this is the year of the Wolf, and they're going to make the playoff, or they're going to win the ACC for the first time in '79. Like I don't see it that way, but I'm curious if you see.
There's some fan in the same way I just made that parallel to like Rod Brindamore. Let's say Rod, even if they have to rearrange their roster this year and pick some new guys and maybe make a new decision at goalie. Let's say he gets them back to the playoffs and they lose in the first round. Is it like, oh man, what's going wrong with Rod? Where I think he's sitting there screaming like, we are among the final 8 teams every year. That's the best I can do. The rest is just going to be them the breaks, man. And like, or growing a homegrown top 4 in the league goalie or whatever it is. Same thing with Doeren. It's like, hey, maybe we get that transfer portal quarterback, or we get 2 years with a quarterback that all of a sudden like, oh, he is going to be an NFL star. But the best that if you're being a realistic fan of these franchises, you're asking them to put your team in a position to win. You are not asking them, you got to go win the big one. You're smart enough to know if over a decade or 15 years of time, if you put us in positions to win, there'll be big wins that come, whether they're, knocking off a number 1 ranked team at home, whether it's, whatever. hopefully that translates into things that have hardware like ACC championships or a college football playoff appearance. But I don't buy that much into the like can't win the big one type stuff. It's like if you're consistently putting yourself in the smallest pool possible of people who can win hardware, you're doing your job, and some of it is just the breaks. That's me.
Housekeeping.
That was a great point to end on. So I wanted to go to that housekeeping, and you can have your house cleaned. Enovana, it's Enovana Green Cleaning. It's enovana.com. ENOVANA.com. Speaking of housekeeping, we have the Sports Podcast Festival coming up at the Rialto. Hayes Permar is the maestro of the Rialto Sports Podcast Festival. Get your tickets. It's at therialto.com. The podcast festival is Saturday, August 24th. Headline by the Shutdown Fullcast. Our friend Michael Felder will be there. And of course, the OG will be there. It's presented by Breeze Through. Our friends at Breeze Through are amazing. Our true corporate champions. Again, the OG doesn't exist without Adam and his crew. How they can help you. First of all, they have the 76 app. Save yourself on gas. I mean, I don't know what you people are doing if you're not saving yourself on gas, because we can all save a few cents and dollars here and there. Obviously, the home base right across from PNC Arena and Carter Finley Stadium. And for all of your road trips this summer, hit up a Breeze Through near you. But I have a question for you, Hayes, and I didn't want to waste it in Hey Joe.
Bring it.
I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of Rialtos out there. How the fuck did you get therialto.com?
I will credit the people who came before me on that one. And yes, there are. I've also got at Rialto Theater on Facebook, because I get tagged in that one all the time for people that are going to other Rialtos. So yeah, we have the Rialto.com. Yes, some innovative employee probably in 1996 snagged that, and when I got the business, it came with the website. So
you have movies,
also
just the movie theater, right? And then you have comedy. You were intent when you brought this thing back that you wanted comedy. You remembered growing up, and you have shows. I will be there on July 19th for David Cook.
Bring it.
I'm a David Cook fan.
All right, can we pause here
Look at you, man.
Real quick? Yeah, we've been hitting that 90s nostalgia hard.
Yeah, I love it.
Once again, this is going to sound, there's 2 days in a row where I'm bagging on Dimitri. One for him, like, declaring we were almost sold out after, like, day 2 of ticket sales, where it's like, no, we're selling very well. We're not almost sold out. We might be almost sold out soon. And 2 is, as my man Dimitri, he loves a Canva spread here.
Yeah.
He loves to put together some images, put a little, and so good work on him. But I'm going to try to augment. Obviously, I'll still honor all the logos of our sponsors and the people, the acts presenting at the Sports Podcast Festival. But I'm going to try and get my man Dan to rock a little bit of art that might be more worthy of the Sports Podcast Festival. So I'll see if I can update that.
I love it. Get your tickets at therialto.com. I think I paid $62 for my tickets. I bought 2 as a corporate champion to give away later on. But obviously, comedy, concerts, movies, beer. The Rialto right there on Glenwood in the 5 Points section. Look at me learning of also, coming up, we are working on an OG Summer Jam. Details to come.
Summer Jam, like tunes, like a concert?
No. So it's we like to take liberal interpretations of words. We're gonna have something down at Crank Arm where they have a DJ, and we get our Butcher's Market people out there. We're gonna do it. We're putting something together for the end of July. So put that on your radar. The OG Summer Jam. Also put on your radar. And I might need to put this on a poll, because I don't mind playing golf when it's hot. And I'm okay with an OG Golf Classic in August, at the end of August. I don't know how many people are okay with that, though. So I have a date in September reserved right now. But I'm thinking maybe sweating to the oldies out at Eagle Ridge might be a fun way to kill some time in August. That's what I'm thinking, because when you have a rowback shirt, you can get out there and be comfortable and play your game and do what you need to do. So you have thoughts on that? Hayes?
It's a little steamy. My only thought is put a Marshall in Josh Goodson's group. I don't need any of these like 52s coming in. Okay.
You know it's possible.
Keep an eye on Goodson. That's all I want to say. It true. I mean, there's good like TikTok videos of these like shared every now and then, where like you see the scores written and somebody's like, and the winners with a 42, and everybody's like, oh God. But like, I don't know. It's I don't know. I like what do you, I don't know. People like lying to win. A meaningless golf championship.
Never.
I don't know.
I would
I just
never
can't.
say.
Now I will say, I'm not going to name any names on this, but even people like, how do you feel about the guy who accidentally drops a ball that then like rolls on the green to like help give everyone a read? Like, like it's like, are you allowing that in?
Oh, you mean
in your group play?
My ball when we're playing the Texas Scramble? You mean my chip shot accidentally went right near your putt for birdie? Wow, that's weird.
Yeah.
I would never do that, Hayes.
Yeah. All right.
I get struck by lightning.
I know what straight up lying is, right? I know, like, if you guys put a 6 in and you wrote down a 3, you're a loser and a bad person. Like, I feel like at a feel good tournament, there's some allowance for the, I don't know, the getting a read on a green that you might not otherwise get the same way. I don't know. This would be even better. You need to have a couple like, hey, we respect the rules of golf, but at this tournament, here's a couple. We play like the average hacker, right? Like if you're on any ball resting against a root, you get a free drop within a club no closer to the hole, right? Like
the sports
make very
rules.
Clear.
Yeah.
Yes, like great rules like that are like lost ball. If you know it was in the grass, you didn't lose your ball in the woods. You lost your ball in grass. We all saw it. No penalty. Put it down there. You're still hitting from that crappy spot. You wish you'd hit it better in the fairway. Like these should be some of the rules you should add for your tournament.
What's up next? What's up next?
What's up next is a shout out to Hazen Lancaster. Mosquito Authority, Pest Authority.
Yes.
Hayes and his crew were out here for Omaha. He's a big NC State baseball fan. I know he was disappointed in yesterday's result, but not the season itself. So do me a favor, support the people who support us. If you got bugs inside your house, you got ants in the house, you got mice in the attic, which I've had, moisture under your house, the 360 moisture barrier is unbelievable, and it helps improve the value of your home. So check them out. It's bugsbite.com. Just punch in your zip code. Hayes does not believe in contracts, but he does believe in saving people money. I flew by a trooper in Missouri yesterday on the road, and then I slammed on the brakes as I noticed that it was a trooper. And then he looked at me and he was like, because he was doing 60 in a 70. And now all of a sudden I'm like falling in line behind him, and other people are following him, are flying by him. And I'm like, well, maybe he's like a NASCAR pace guy. I don't know. Eventually I went around him at 68 miles per hour, but I was very careful. I had Joe Ovius in my ear saying, do not get a ticket, especially in one of those states where they don't even have speed. So if you're like me and you have some traffic issues, wh.lawyer. Maybe you have some family law issues, wh.lawyer. Maybe you need to close on a house, wh.lawyer. Maybe you need a contract for your next golf tournament to make sure that people don't cheat, wh.lawyer.
Wait,
right.
if you get a speeding ticket, isn't that just like a tax write-off? Isn't that like a sponsor? Right? Yeah, donation there. Yeah.
Speaking of your favorite spot, your favorite OG corporate champion, Jared and Two Roosters Ice Cream, home base there on Person. The pink crushed frosted animal cracker is off the charts, man. It's like my shirt. It's off the charts. It's great stuff. But coffee cookie dough, come on. The willpower if we need to even try a different flavor this month. Do yourself a favor, go check out any of the Two Roosters locations, including in the OG home base, the epicenter, Lake Boone. I'm allowed to say it because I've been to the Lake Boone Country Club. Thank you very much.
Well, And because it's outside the belt line, I'll concede.
You'll allow.
I'll
You
concede
can't have
that.
a home base.
I'll concede that to the OG.
To the
You
Garner
can be
people.
you can be out there.
So yeah, two Roosters. Check them out. They are actually one of Hayes' favorite companies.
Can I make a case for the ice cream cakes? I don't think I've heard you
never
guys
had
talk
one.
about these. Well, then you're doing it all wrong.
Okay.
Especially back in the I don't want to speak ill of Two Roosters because they did nothing wrong. But during the pandemic, I had a problem. I mean, I was going there partly because you were like looking for things to do. You know what I mean? So like picking up my wife and I's daily ice cream thing was like, this is an activity. You know, like we can walk around and stand on the line and see other people. You know, spread out or whatever. But I was spending way too much money on cookie dough ice cream, and I realized that if I just get the cookie dough cake, even for not a celebration, merely for my own consumption, but then I just slice off a piece of cake and I eat it instead of like eating a whole pint at a time. I just eat a slice of the cake and I made it last a little bit longer. Still the same delicious cookie dough with it's like a cookie dough crust. And then they've got other specialty cakes too. So that's my personal tip for the day. Check out they sound, I mean, like a lot of like full cake things. When you first hear the price, you're like, that sounds like a lot for ice cream. But what I'm telling you is, I ate it over the course of like 2 weeks where I normally would have gotten a pint every night. So you're actually saving because you get a good serving eating it over a couple days.
And if you are going to overindulge in ice cream, do yourself a favor. Go check out Happy and Hale. They're in North Hills. And they're also, it's not the North?
North Hills.
Oh.
North Hills.
Shows you how much I really absorbed
You
yesterday.
didn't even pay attention.
I thought it was North Hills.
No, that's what you guys say.
That's
I'm
what
going
I
to North
say.
Hills.
Okay, got it.
The one in North Hills. That's what you guys say. Instead, it's the one it's in North Hills.
North Hills.
There we go.
All right. North Hills. Also
say it like New York.
In Durham.
In North Hills. In North Hills. In New York.
Download the app, Happy Plus Hale. Download that app. You get a free smoothie when you do that just for signing up. And then again, if it's within a month of your birthday, because I had signed up after my birthday, they still give you a free bowl for your birthday. Also, it's really easy to order on the app. That way you walk in North Hills and you get your bowl. It's in, you're out, and you get your LaCroix seltzer, as my son likes to call it, the LaCrony. He didn't know what the heck that was, so he just calls it LaCrony, so I still call it LaCrony to this day. So check them out, Happy and Hale. All right, so it's time for a little bit of transition music. What do you think? Can't be. Let's try this. All right, the Boston Celtics won their 18th NBA title last night. Beat the Dallas Mavericks 5 games, 106-88. Jaylen Brown is your finals MVP. There's some, I was kind of on this bandwagon. I think Brown is their best player, but as Lavelle Moten, who knows a whole lot more about basketball and the Celtics than I do, explained to me, the reason Brown is able to have as much success as he is because of the attention that is paid to Duke's Jason Tatum. So congrats to the Celtics. I'm happy for Al Horford. Can I say that at least? I'm not a Celtics fan. I'm not a Boston person, but yeah, I feel like I'm allowed to be happy for Al Horford, who's been in the NBA forever. Obviously was part of Florida's back-to-back titles back in 06, 07, 07, 08, 06, 07 at Florida.
Has he never won an NBA title?
Had not. So
I thought he was on like a Heat team somewhere, or like maybe a Spurs squad somewhere and just grabbed a ring.
He was with the Hawks for a while, and obviously that's not synonymous with championships. So I am happy for Al Horford. I am not happy for the people of Boston, though. So we talked about the titles that really count are the ones in your lifetime, right? So yes, the Celtics have 18, but I really count 5. Even though I go back to 81 for them. So they have 5 since 81. The Red Sox have 4 since 04. The Bruins have 1 in my lifetime. And the Patriots obviously have 6. That's 16 titles.
Ridiculous.
If you have someone your age, right? If you have a friend who's a Boston fan, they've had 16 major titles since
ridiculous.
1981. That is, and at least one in each sport, and now this is at least 4 in the major sports of basketball, baseball, and football. So this got me thinking, because the Euro is going on as well, and England hasn't won a major soccer tournament since 1966. So I had England ahead of NC State, I had Buffalo ahead of NC State, and then I had NC State. Those were the 3 franchise school team cities that I wanted to see have success. Yes, I'm counting State's ACC title in this case, but I think the dual Final Four runs kind of count as a significant year for NC State. So you knock NC State and their kind of snake bitten hard luck fan base off the list here. I'm going England first now, so maybe we'll see what they can do in this Euros. They are favored to win it, and France, Mbappe broke his nose yesterday, so maybe that'll be a good break for them. And then I'm going Buffalo, man. Like, I don't know where you fall on the Buffalo spectrum, with their zaniness and their dildos and their table breaking and all the other stuff that they're into. I feel bad for them though. Like, I truly want to see them have some success, because you had the Bills with the 4 Super Bowl runs, you had the Sabres with Dominic Hasek. They had that series run with this no goal, the skate in the crease, the whole thing. I mean, they've been through it, man. So I'm going to go England first, because I've been over in Europe for a World Cup, and I know how crazy passionate they are for this, and which is actually going to bring me to a different point here. But what fan base or city or team or school would you like to see break through next? And I think we've sufficiently glossed over Boston's success here.
Yeah, okay.
Which is exactly the entirety of my point.
Two things about the Boston is, 2 of those franchises, the Red Sox and the Patriots, were almost known more for their ineptitude until they won that first one, and then it's just been the dam break, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, it is crazy how, like, for the first half of our lifetime almost, it was like, look at these woebegone franchises in Boston, not the Celtics obviously, and not the Bruins, although I've always paid less attention to them, but like Patriots felt like a joke, like a laugher franchise.
Yeah.
And the Red Sox were not a joke. They were clearly a storied, respected franchise, but always seen as like the chokers, and the history will always catch up to you. So that part is interesting in and of itself. But you guys know that the success of your podcast is partly on how local you guys keep it. So obviously England is a great pick instead of freaking Charlotte. Okay, if you're going Buffalo's only got 2 major franchises, which I feel like some people tend to not feel sorry for Charlotte, because there's not many. It's not like they have 4 teams all losing, and it's almost like a taunt to them of like, they've even got an in-state team that's won a title and now has been like really good, but they don't really count that as them. But the Panthers, they haven't quite had the Bills level of like 4 in a row failed Super Bowls, right? But they've had some success. Cam Newton rescued them from like almost a 20-year period of being totally irrelevant and terrible, but he made them one of the most exciting franchises, and got them to a Super Bowl. So there is some level of success for the Panthers, although no championship, and we're going on close to 30 years with them. Or we're at 30 years with them, basically. 2025 will be 30 years, right? The Hornets are a
This
direct
one is a good one for your argument.
of a franchise. They are terrible. They've never sniffed success, Giglio. I mean, I remember 1991 and 92, or 90 and 91. I won't get them exactly right. I remember the Charlotte Hornets were the coolest craze. The game NBA Jam was out, so you could like play with actual Charlotte Hornets players. I was the biggest fan. They sucked, but they sold out every game. Everybody's wearing their gear. And then it seemed like we were backing up the craze by drafting LJ and Zoe back-to-back. I literally remember my mom mailing me at Camp Seagull the draft order cut out from the News and Observer. There was no internet. And the day after the draft, I get and find out who everybody drafted. I'm like, oh, Larry Johnson. This guy was, eating college basketball alive. And then Alonzo Mourning. This is, can't miss prospect. And you thought that's the beginning of what should be a couple Eastern Conference finals, maybe an NBA final. Like, they're going to play together for 10 years, and they should be really good. Instead, obviously, that fell apart. The Hornets haven't made a conference final. like Chris Paul took the New Orleans Pelicans, or they were still the Hornets maybe at the time. He took New Orleans to a final at least, or were they at Oklahoma City? I can't even get it right. I just mean that teams have been dragged to a conference final by one player, and the Hornets have never sniffed anything good. So I'm keeping it at home. I want some success for Charlotte, even though it is kind of fun watching Charlotte fall flat on its face. I'm a Panthers and Hornets fan. I want something. Losing an NBA final would be a dream for me for the Hornets. I mean, that'd be so much fun.
You haven't mentioned either that the Charlotte fans have had to suffer through two of the more despicable owners, and Jerry Richardson for the Panthers,
bad owners,
and George Shinn for the Hornets.
And
listen, I'm saying those are personality. Those are people with personality and other flaws.
All right.
Michael Jordan does not have that.
All right, I'm not talking about Michael Jordan.
Oh, big brass balls, my guy.
Yeah, I mean, watching him get flustered has been the most entertaining part of the Panthers. This is a guy who literally thinks he thinks he's like, I made $8 billion. I can do anything. I am so smart, and then watching him get flustered and have to say things like, oh, we brought music to Charlotte. It's delicious. It's been the most entertaining part of the Hornets, of his ownership of the Panthers, is watching him fail miserably.
So I think they get points for that. They definitely get points for the ownership angle as well.
That adds to it when he's antagonizing your fan base and going into restaurants. And I realized that kind of got overblown in the hat thing. But it's even though you're smart enough not to blow up at a guy, you're bothered enough that you stopped your car and went in there and talked to the guy. It's whatever. So I will say this. If the Panthers aren't going to be good at all, I'd almost rather be. I wish that the only time people talk about the Panthers on these pregame shows is Dave Tepper threw a drink on people. Dave Tepper, just let's go ahead and just make him be a total embarrassment. And he can have all his money and he can probably buy a house and put fences up so that he never has to hear about any of it. But if we're not going to be good, let's at least have a lot of fun mocking the owner. But ultimately, come on, Hornets. Let's give the Hornets a win.
This is why I have you on the podcast, man. You got to help me out. I have a lot of neighbors from Buffalo, so that's where my Buffalo comes from. England, I just feel bad for him, man. I just feel bad for him. That's all.
They're keeping it local.
Speaking of local, go hit up my Nature's Relief in Garner, or they're over off of Western as well, or the old school by the Peddler off of Glenwood there, way up there. Yeah, I mean they got some spots, man. Nature's Relief Hemp
old school.
.com, naturesreliefhempstore.com. That's relief, RELEAF. I can do it. Obvious can't. I can spell relief. All kinds of gummies, drinks, different ways, smokable stuff, all these things that they got. Don't be intimidated. Go in, ask questions, see what works for you. I know this is me being a little bit older. Our target demographic, they're pretty good at this. They know this. Me, I'm like, hey, what's the difference between Delta 8 and Delta 9? Hey, what's really the difference between 5 milligrams and 10 milligrams? Should I really be having this 50 milligram sipper that you gave me live on the air? The answer to that was no. It was fantastic, and I did not feel terrible the next day. So go check them out. It's naturesreliefhempstore.com there in Garner on Timber Drive, or like I said, all those other great locations in Raleigh. All right, my man Matt Davis from State Farm, all he wants to do is save you money. The easiest way for you to save money is to have a conversation, so give him a call. 919-779-8277. That's Matt Davis. He's at State Farm. It's insuregarner.com. 919-779-8277. Give him a call. Talk about how he can help you save home, auto, life, pet, you name it, all types of insurance. Matt has you covered. The butcher's market, how did it go yesterday? How did your food
Excellent.
do?
Excellent.
Wow, your guests with the butcher's market selections that you made.
I'm sure the butcher's market has shrimp, but since I was heading to the coast, I only took the steak and the chicken. We added a couple shrimp, threw it on there, grilled it all up. It was amazing. I did reveal that it was from the butcher's market. I was going to try and get away with pretending like, this is my special
Obvious family
marinade. 'cause
secret. Yeah.
The friend, yes, the secret you can have, but the salsa, she's a mine. No, I know the salsa you can have, but the secret, she's a mine. No, yeah, I did reveal that it was the butcher's market. So it's, but I gave him the same tip. I was like, hey, put it on the grill. Don't worry about the temperature or time. You can't mess up the signature
Yeah.
chicken. Just put it on there. It'll tell you when it's done, and it'll be right.
Impossible.
Okay, that's how it goes.
Go check them out. Falls on the News. There's a little home base there, but now that they're in the OG epicenter at Lake Boone, that's my spot. Also in Holly Springs, and then of course Cary, the OG location in Cary there in Saltbox Village. So the Butcher's Market for all of your summer grilling needs. And again, they'll be involved in the OG Summer Jam. So big shouts to Kenneth and but the Butcher's Market for supporting us there.
You know what would sound good? Butcher's Market downtown.
That would be.
I'm thinking maybe West Street in between Peace and Wade. Like we can get you down there.
You know how you have that ice cream problem, man. I would eat a steak sandwich at least 4 times a week.
Yeah, it could be a problem.
Hey, if they're looking for property downtown, I know who can help them. Hometown Realty, myhtr.com. Woo! The corporate synergy here is amazing. Great work, Hayes, pointing to the passer, even though I'm not allowed to. Hometown Realty, 6 locations from Raleigh to the coast, more than 250 agents. You want to buy and sell with confidence. Don't mess around. Don't think, I can just sell my house myself. I saw a video on YouTube. No. Don't think, I'm going to go try to buy a new construction without the help of a real estate agent because I'll get a better deal. No. Go to myhtr.com. You buy and you sell with confidence. That's myhtr.com. All right, Hayes, I'm getting a little bit better at this. Let's see. I like to narrate when I'm trying to find buttons because I'm going to yell at Ovius a little bit here since he's not here, and I don't really do this on the regular, but there's absolutely no rhyme or reason to anything he has cataloged over here.
It's kind of one of those, it's one of those messy offices where, someone looks at it like, it's so messy. You're like, no, don't touch it. I know where everything is.
Yeah.
I know where everything is.
Here's one that's a shared experience. I compared this to Jonathan Rand. He's like, that was like the biggest insult that I ever gave him because, as you know, from Jonathan Rand being a Sports Channel A producer, there was nothing in Rand's old folder on Highwoods. There might have been a date, maybe. Only he knew where everything
Yeah, you know where it is. No, I need this. I got to scroll to the middle and then down 3. You're like, all right, there we go. Yes. That's fine.
All right, it's time to play some bets. DraftKings is the official betting partner of the OG. Use that promo code OG24. Download the DraftKings app and use the promo code OG24. Bet $5, get yourself $150 in bonus bets. Hayes, how does this sound? I am in a state where I can't gamble. So I gave you 2 picks yesterday. What did they do? Texas A&M, check. And France, check. Of course.
I said that I walked into my buddy's beach house and he was watching the France game and I was like, yeah, my buddy had a parlay on France to win and to score at least 1 goal. And he was like, are you kidding? Like that sounds like easy money. I was like, apparently it was.
It's a thing. So I have a play for you today because just as I thought Boston would win last night, I didn't go near it, but I thought they would win. I think Florida takes care of business tonight.
Same.
We have game 5, Stanley Cup final down in Florida. Florida's back home. They just got smushed. You know my theory. If you're going to lose big. I don't care that they lost 8-1 the last game. None of those goals carry over for Edmonton. I think Paul Maurice, in the year of Giglio's favorite coaches, finally gets to put his name on the Stanley Cup. Florida is minus 140 tonight. You have any plays for me, or are you still in beach mode?
No, I should have looked them up. No, but I will say this. I'll give you a gambling tip. And my gambling tip is basically stealing your gambling tip. And most people think of parlays as, I could turn my $10 into $100, or I could turn $20 into $10,000 by getting a 15-leg parlay. And what you did yesterday is what more people should do. Look at things that are such long odds, like they're likely to happen, that on their own, it's probably not a great value bet. But if you parlay two things that are very, very likely to happen together, don't think of it as like a $10 bet to win you 25. Think of parlaying two long odd things together to basically get you close to a 50-50 bet, and then you're feeling pretty good about it. Yes, you still need two things to happen, but either one of those alone, you'd be like, France is definitely going to win. France is definitely going to score a goal. I don't have a specific play, but as I was explaining to my buddy, he's like, yeah, I need to do that more often. Do that more often. Quit trying to buy lottery tickets like obvious. Go out there and take two gimmies and put them together for a probably.
And then throw a Chiefs future on there just at the end. Just tag it on
there.
I'm
for that. Yeah. You do it one. You do one as a 2-leg parlay with your two, gimmies, and then throw a crazy one on there. The juice is a little bit higher.
How did this happen? How did I get the Chiefs at 10-1? So we do have a new NBA champion, and hopefully you were able to cash in on DraftKings on the Boston Celtics run to their 18th NBA title. The NBA season is over, but there are still plenty of options on DraftKings, from the WNBA to Major League Baseball to Euro 24. And if you're new to
I got to play for you. So the season just ended. So I'm assuming someone has revealed odds for NBA champion next year. Here's my play. Not the Hornets.
Not the
Hornets. Don't take the Hornets.
Great call. And
take somebody else.
So if you're new to DraftKings, you've got to check this out. New customers bet $5. They get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the promo code OG24. That's OG24 and get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Or in West Virginia, visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age varies by jurisdiction. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Deposit and eligibility restrictions apply. See terms and responsible gaming resources at dkng.co/MMA.
How'd you like that? Much better than my read from yesterday, wasn't it?
Yes. Although I've got a better idea. Can we just make gambling legal nationwide? So instead of having to list every state, like we could just say, here's the number. I'm not minimizing the need for help or support. I'm just saying people would take it more easily if there was one number and one website instead of a different one for every state. That's my vision of the future. One gambling hotline.
I promised it yesterday, and I don't really know if it's the lightning round. I don't really know if it's the lightning round without the voice, but let's see what we can do.
The lightning round.
First up, Italian high jumpers. Go.
No, I don't know what we're doing.
No, first up is Italian high jumpers. How do you know Hayes Permar is on this program? Well, I start texting him a couple of clips. He starts me, and mine are like normal. He starts texting me clips, and I get Italian high jumper Gianmarco Tamberi. Apparently,
he's Italian. He's your boy. That's your home team. Giglio.
My people. All right, let me play this clip, and then we can kind of react to the multiple different things that are happening during this clip. Let's make sure we got volume and all those good things. Let's see what happens.
I don't even know if the clip's good to hear.
Mamma mia! Ma chi è questo mostro?
Crowd is going berserk. So he jumps, and I'm narrating now. He takes off his shoes.
We haven't mentioned he's going, and look, they think he's hurt. The crowd thinks he's hurt because he goes down and he's grabbing his ankle, and they're like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" He's almost like playing it up like he's hurt. I also wonder if he had to do a little game because he didn't actually have these in his shoe, but he turns his shoe over, and what is it? What is it?
Springs
and
screws. He's like, oh, but wait. Let's see if we get a close-up of his face. This is the part that I think you really wanted to talk about.
Yep.
He's not taking his shirt off. He's got his hair up in the knot.
I
I mean, yeah, he's and here the fans kind of dressed like him. He's humping the wall. I don't know why he's humping the wall, but he is. Oh, we got half of the face. Come on, man. Give me the picture. He's celebrating. I guess obviously they are. If it's the home crowd, they're in Italy for this contest.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's
There's the other half of the face.
There we go.
There it is.
There we go.
All right.
For some reason, Gianmarco has half of a beard, but only half of a beard.
Okay, you are a facial hair guy by choice, right? Like you choose. Yeah. I am a facial hair guy by laziness, meaning occasionally I have a scruff beard, but it's only because I didn't feel like shaving. One time in my life, I kind of put a little beard game out there. It wasn't strong. It was okay. It was fine. Whatever. But the one thing I will say is whether you like facial hair or not, there haven't been many new innovations in facial hair in a long time. Like your options are beard, mustache, goatee, maybe a soul patch, maybe some chops. But there's like max 8 or 9 things you can do, and maybe you can combo some of them. The half beard, I feel like it's innovative, and I haven't seen it. I'm not saying I like it. I'm not saying I would do it, but I just respect somebody that is pushing the boundaries of new facial hair. I back this. I like it.
Mad respect for our Italian high jumper. All right, let's go to lightning round item number 2. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese got tied up again this weekend. There was a hard foul. Angel Reese didn't like it. Her team lost. She didn't like it. I don't know if this audio is working or not, but I thought her comment, I guess some people get a special whistle. Like, I need you to lean into being the villain. I get that, and she's done a great job of that, but don't start with the conspiracy theories about how Caitlin Clark's officiated. Come on.
Yeah, it was a flagrant foul, right? Like nobody's disputing that, especially in today's world. It's like hit in the head. Nobody shouldn't. Even people who don't like the Caitlin Clark discourse, are saying like in the NBA that would have been a flagrant foul. On any other player that would have been a flagrant foul because in today's world hitting in the head. Now, as I like to consider myself, you're an expert on a few things. NC State and greater ACC and North Carolina athletics, gambling, golf, Garner, probably some food types, lasagna, Hard fouls are my thing, Joe.
Okay.
Editors of the Duke Chronicle were given like warnings before playing in the Duke media game, like, hey, there's this one guy that doesn't put up with it. Now, I will say, oftentimes my hardest fouls come not at a disdain for my opponent, but my disgust in my own teammates. Like my team is playing such bad defense now I'm running from out of position to come help and knock this guy on the ground when like you three were standing around here about to give up a layup. Absolutely not. Like this is ridiculous. And now you made me be a bad person and knock this person to the floor. So what Angel Reese has done there is an excellent job of a play that you can absolutely make the case of I'm swinging at the ball, right? She was. The ball was there for a layup. She swung at it. But she knew what she was doing. She knew she probably wasn't going to hit the ball, and she knew she was probably going to hit the head. Again, this is coming from an expert hard fouler. There's just at times you make a decision, I'm going hard at this layup, and there might be some contact, but for whatever reason, whether I'm delivering a message to my teammates or now, usually the only time I deliver a hard foul is if somebody is cherry-picked. Somebody didn't get back on defense, and then there's a quick rebound. They're like, throw it to me, and I run the length of the floor, and I'm like, no layups, buddy.
You're like, that's disrespectful.
Yes.
When I took it personal.
You're not, or just you're disrespecting the game. Like you're cherry-picking. I'm not going to call you out for cherry-picking, but I'm also not going to let you have a layup. I'm running back, and if I accidentally run through you, oh well, it's your ball. Check up. Let's play. So, Angel Reese, no more than a flagrant was needed. She didn't need to be ejected, anything else. But also for her to claim that she didn't know exactly what she's doing, I don't believe you because I respect your game. You're a hard fouler, and I am too. I respect it. Game recognized game.
Game right. You want to make your ridiculous claims about Caitlin Clark?
No,
now,
well, okay,
or...
and I'll make two. Although we do have a whole week to go here. Maybe I can expound.
Yeah,
on
we
one.
do. It's up to you, man. It's up to you.
You know, do you know who she reminds me of the most? You know who I think her career arc will mirror?
I don't.
Is Steph Curry.
Yeah.
I know this sounds easy because of the way she shoots, but I think there's more to it. I think there should be a deep dive into, people talk about Steph Curry didn't get into Virginia, didn't get a scholarship to Virginia Tech. You know what the best thing that ever could have happened to that guy is be on a team where he had to score 30 points to them to win. Even when he was undersized as a college freshman or sophomore, the college players were bigger than he was. They were better, but that taught him so many things that he's like, hey, I need to learn to be a little selfish. I need to learn to ignore the fact that we kind of run an offense and know that the offense kind of rests on me, especially in crucial moments or getting in games with bigger opponents. I've got to do things. And I think Caitlin has that. Now, Iowa could prove me wrong if they go back to the Final Four this year, but she was elevating a lesser group of players based on her talent. And remember, Steph Curry did not come into the NBA and take it by storm, right? It was an odd, it felt like even more years than I feel like we remember, where it was can he really even be a starter? Does he need to be a bring the ball up point guard and distribute? And after 3 or 4 years, he got back to playing the style because partly he had adjusted and now he bulked up a little bit. He could play the way he was playing at Davidson, not truly having to be triple teamed and stuff like that, but being that guy. Finally, we saw that in the NBA, and I think Caitlin Clark's going to have the same thing. She's not going to – and also, at no point Steph won MVPs, but every time he's won MVP, there have been guys like LeBron and KD who are in the league where you can clearly make the case hey, if I'm starting a franchise, I still wouldn't take Steph first, right? I would still take LeBron or KD or now Jokic or whatever. I don't think Caitlin Clark is going to be hands down the best player in the NBA, but I think she could have a Steph Curry-like career where because of that range, the fearlessness, the experience of having to be a player that carries a team, you put her on a team with a couple other good players, but she still has that willingness to carry a team, and I think she could have a Steph Curry-like career. Later this week, I'll discuss that. I think I could shut her down.
Okay. All right.
With especially I'm throwing some hard fouls at her. I would be treating it. No, shut down is the wrong word. I'll explain later.
Now at 45?
Oh, I don't have to go all the way back to 25, but 45 might be a little pressing it. If I were 35 again, but my big point is I think there's a better way to play defense against her than some people do. Now, a little bit that's naive, but we can get into it later in the week where there's fewer things to talk about. So,
all right, lightning round and the final item, number 3. Since I can't get my computer to ever work, I went to Iowa yesterday. You're saying this bridge, me walking into Iowa, doesn't count on my list of states visited? I'm going to need an independent ruling on this, that you don't think walking to Iowa is or even driving in Iowa counts as being in Iowa. I'm confused because I'm headed to South Dakota today to knock South Dakota off the list. I'm not going to be there that long, man.
I'm willing to let the listeners weigh in on this. Now, when it was first presented to me, I thought you made it sound like you had gone from Kansas to Nebraska and driven through Iowa, and you were counting that. Because when I was at the Elite Eight in Memphis in 2017, and I drove to Tunica, Mississippi. Technically, I drove through Arkansas, but I didn't stop anywhere. I didn't do anything, and so I don't consider myself having visited Arkansas. Now, if you tell me you walked into the state, did you eat a meal, go to a casino, anything while there?
No.
I'm going to need a ruling from other people. Now, you're going to South Dakota, and you're going to see Mount Rushmore, right?
No, that's 7 hours away. No.
Well, what are you doing in South Dakota?
Just going to knock it off the list. I'm driving there to knock it off the list.
I mean, okay.
We are going to stop.
All right. If you fly into Salt Lake City to connect,
flying, that's different.
So landing at an airport and connecting somewhere and going out, that doesn't count as a state.
But if
you put feet down outside of the airport,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like All right, here's what you have to do. You got to go listen to the Music Man soundtrack all the way through, and then I'll give you credit for Iowa. Okay? Based in Iowa, we really ought to give Iowa a try, provided you work. If you go listen to the Music Man soundtrack while driving through Iowa, maybe I'll give you credit for it then. Do you want to hear my Nebraska trivia?
Yeah.
There are 4 state capitals named after presidents. Can you name them?
4 state capitals.
State capitals named after presidents.
Well, obviously Lincoln is one of them.
Lincoln, Nebraska.
Jefferson.
Jefferson City, Missouri.
Yeah. I mean, those were the 2 easy ones. I don't think there's.
They are. No, where the Wisconsin Badgers play.
Oh, Madison, James Madison. Oh, that's a good one.
And then the other one is a state you would not want. A state you wouldn't send your kids to the public schooling system. I don't know.
Alabama,
Arkansas. The state that had the Confederate flag. Yeah, you named one of them.
Mississippi.
You know the capital, Mississippi?
Not off the top of my head.
Jackson.
Oh, for real? Andrew Jackson has a.
I don't know, but that's because you're in Nebraska. Yeah. There we go. Lightning round.
It was actually the fastest lightning round ever. Kind of like how you used to get upset about acapella the news wasn't really acapella. Well, the lightning round really isn't lightning, so it's kind of a thing. Let's get out of here though on some Hey Joe questions, because the Hey Joe questions are calling. Tossed salads and scrambled eggs. Crank Arm Brewing, check them out. West Davie Street. I forgot when I was there that I had 2 new beers. I had the Strawberry Wheels Forever. Ovius actually got that for me.
It's a solid name.
Strawberry Wheels Forever. Strawberry Shortcake Pastry Sour. Very light. I enjoyed it. And then the one that I bought was the Pedal Puncher. That's a Hawaiian Punch seltzer. Go check them out. 319 West Davie Street, Crank Arm Brewing. You can see all of their beer selections at crankarmbrewing.com. And again, get ready for that OG Summer Jam coming to Crank Arm in downtown on West Davie Street in July. All right, Hayes, let's go to some YouTube comments for today. That requires me being able to hit present, share screen. Let's go here. All right, from Blind Lemon Jello, 5 points, a ritzy location. Damn, it just didn't feel that way in 1990. But the train cars hooking up did add to the ambiance. Patton Avenue strong. I've always heard the hills with the focus. Waccamaw Pottery Forever.
Waccamaw.
Might be somebody you know.
Yeah, I don't get all those references. That's Waccamaw, as in Lake Waccamaw.
Waccamaw, okay.
Yeah.
We have from B Grace 94. I was 1,000% on board with Hayes on the North Hills issue until the moment he revealed the emphasis hills. I am born and raised in Durham, and I emphasize North.
Where did he say he was born and raised?
Durham.
Okay, just wanted to check that because they had isn't there a South Hills Mall in Durham, but they say it's South Hills. It's North Hills. I'm going to North Hills.
You really have the big iced tea, vanilla ice energy with the.
No, dude.
It's just different.
No, you would know it. Here's the other one. Another perfect name. Like what do you call the guy who he recently died? He famously ran for 2,000 yards for the Buffalo Bills, but also famously, most likely killed his wife and another person. How do you say Simpson's first name that he goes by? Not Orenthal.
OJ. And
OJ. The emphasis is on the OJ. Oh. But when you hear OJ, it sounds different. And every now and then, one of his friends, like it's almost like people who know him, like you know that guy with the raspy voice, like OJ would always be doing stuff, and like it sounds wrong because you're like, oh, it's OJ. But this was the opposite. Same with I think New York for you is the best one. If somebody said, I'm going to New York, you'd be like, you're going, wait, what? Sounds wrong. But if you say, I'm going to New York, going to New York.
New York.
The emphasis is on New York, just like North Hills. North Hills.
From my guy, Bud, the Ductile Iron Man, I was looking for the Owens transfusion mix, and apparently they have it in Garner. Where do you fall in the transfusion? I guess it's a craze by now, even though if you play golf,
yeah, it's the indie band that like was much cooler when only me and my friends knew about it. Even though like I'm telling myself that I was in early and I was probably in like super late, but I still get it. I'm a child with childlike eating habits, so I'm like, ooh, grape juice,
Ooh.
like grape juice and ginger ale. I love those things. So like that with some vodka, bring it.
All right, we'll get out of here on this from Mindy, listening to the pod today, talking about Elliot. My mom always said, pay attention to the people who show up for you. Glad you were able to show up for him and vice versa. Yeah, did not get an extended chance to talk to Elliot yesterday after they were eliminated by Florida, but I did see him, gave him a hug, and let him know that he did a great job this year. So we'll see what the Tar Heels do. They will be on while this releases, so you can turn the game on. Hopefully there's not a weather delay. My goodness gracious, I hope. But you get UNC FSU. Loser has to stay in the ACC. Let's do it that way, or what do you think?
put stakes on it. Man, why are you gonna say it like that? Come on, Giglio. Loser has to stay in the ACC.
Oh man, I only wish Jim later was here with his striped tie. You know? Oh, you're so zany, Jim. Put the color of the tie on. Oh my God, you're doing amazing things for the conference, Jim. My goodness.
Hey man, he's going to be a panelist at the AP Sports Editor Awards here. Okay, don't be hating on Jim Phillips. Later this week, I want to discuss what the ACC should have learned from Omaha. Not like what baseball teams win, but I'll explain. But what the ACC should have learned from Omaha.
I think that's a great tease, and I think I know where it's going.
Yep.
And we will do this again tomorrow. Again, hit that button right there, like, subscribe, leave a comment. We'll get to it tomorrow. And hey, Joe Hayes, enjoy your travels throughout the great state of North Carolina. I'll be back again here for OG at the Park tomorrow in Omaha. Appreciate you guys for watching and listening. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.